Dear students, in this video, we are going to study some basic concepts about stereochemistry. Because stereochemistry also involves some isomers, let's study isomerism in detail. Isomers means different compounds having same molecular formula but different structural formula. So such compounds which contain same type of elements as well as number of elements but their structural arrangement is different are called as isomers. This isomerism is divided broadly into two classes, structural or constitutional isomerism and stereoisomerism. This structural isomerism, as the name suggests, these isomers differ in their connectivity in the structure, and stereoisomers they differ in arrangement of the atoms in a three-dimensional space. Structural isomerism is further classified as chain, position, functional isomerism, metamerism, and tautomerism, while stereoisomerism is classified as conformational isomerism and configurational isomerism. This configurational isomerism is further classified as optical isomerism and geometrical isomerism. Let's study in each class in detail. As I told you, structural or constitutional isomer mainly differs in their connectivity. So chain isomerism is seen when compound containing same molecular formula bears different carbon skeleton, majorly with respect to the branching, like isopropyl, tertiary butyl groups. So branching is different. Here you can see it is a six-membered carbon skeleton, so it is hexane, but it can present as a plain hexane, or one methyl group can present as a branch, so it will become 2-methyl pentane. That is called as chain isomerism. Position isomerism happens when functional groups are attached to this carbon skeleton at different positions. Say for example, this is butane having hydroxyl group, so butanol. This is 1-butanol, this is 2-butanol. So functional group hydroxy group is attached to different positions. Functional isomerism means same molecular formula but different functional group is present. Here if you can see there are two carbons, so it is C2H6O here also, but functional group here is an alcohol and here it is an ether. Tautomerism happens when functional groups are in dynamic equilibrium with each other, and the most pronounced tautomerism is called as keto-enol tautomerism, wherein one isomer has enol form. In this enol form, hydrogen is attached to the oxygen and double bond is in between carbon atoms. But in case of keto form, here it is an aldehyde, there can be ketone also, but hydrogen has moved to now carbon. So there is a double bond between carbon and oxygen. Instead of in the enol form, it is between carbon atoms. But they are in equilibrium and they can be readily interconverted to each other just by migration of hydrogen. Metamerism happens when the functional group interrupts the main carbon skeleton at different positions. Suppose we have ethers, so you can see this ethereal oxygen is between first and second carbon atom, but here it is between second and third carbon atom. That makes it metamers. So structural isomers where the compounds having same molecular formula but with different connectivity. Conformational isomers are the ones usually seen in compounds like butane, even cyclohexane, decalin. These are the compounds which exist in different forms, but they are readily interconvertible to each other just by rotation of the bonds. For example, cyclohexane, which exists as a chair and a boat form, and you can just flip this portion upwards, you will get a boat, or if you pull this one end down from this boat, you will get a chair. So interconversion is very easy just by rotation of the bonds. Stereoisomers or configurational isomers. These are the compounds having same molecular formula, same connectivity, but they are having different arrangement in the three-dimensional space. And in this video, we are going to understand some basic types of stereoisomers. Optical activity we have already discussed. The naturally occurring light or from any radiation source consists of unpolarized light having components traveling in all the directions. When it passes through Nicol prism, we get plain polarized light, and certain substances are able to rotate this light on either right hand side like this. Such substances are called as dextrorotatory when they rotate the plane of polarized light in the clockwise direction. They are denoted by small d or plus sign. Whereas some substances can also rotate it on the left hand side or anti-clockwise. They are called as levorotatory and denoted by minus sign and small l. Do not confuse these two forms with capital D and capital L, because that DL is a different nomenclature, and this small d and small l, it is just denoting optical activity on the right hand side or left hand side. So this DL nomenclature as well as R and S assignment, cis and trans, we are going to see this all in the upcoming videos. What makes compound optically active? The main reason is because of the carbon. Because carbon is tetravalent in nature, if carbon is attached to four different groups. In this example, we have seen carbon is attached to hydroxyl group, then propyl as a branch, then ethyl as a branch, and hydrogen. So if in any structure carbon is attached to four different groups, any groups, we can have amino, nitro, chlorine, bromine, just they should be different from each other. So if any structure contains such carbon atom which is attached to four entirely different groups, that carbon is called as chiral carbon atom or asymmetric carbon atom, and that act as a stereo center. It is responsible for optical activity. There are some exceptions, obviously. There are some compounds which contain chiral carbon atom but they are not optically active, as well as there are some compounds which do not contain chiral carbon atom, still they are optically active. We will discuss them at appropriate times, but right now asymmetric or chiral carbon atom is a tetrahedral carbon bearing four different substituents. It is usually denoted by a star or asterisk in the structure, and depending upon number of chiral carbon atoms, there is possibility of those many stereocenters. The formula for determining number of stereocenters is 2 raised to n, where n is the number of chiral carbon atoms present. So if any compound contains only one chiral carbon atom, it will have only two stereoisomers. So one pair of enantiomer is possible. Whereas if like tartaric acid, it contains two stereocenters, then there are four possible isomers. So every time you need to put that n value over here, and 2 raised to that value will give you a number of possible stereoisomers. So what are enantiomers? In case of tartaric acid, if you see carefully, we have this carbon atom which is not chiral because it is containing C double bond O. It is not a tetrahedral having four different groups. Because it is bonded with a double bond, we have now only two functional groups left. So this is not a chiral carbon atom. Let's look at this. This is bonded to H, OH, COH, and this whole group you can say. So this chiral, this is the chiral carbon atom, as well as if you look at this, this is also bonded to H, OH, COH, and this as a complete group. So there are two chiral carbon atoms possible. You can see tartaric acid has 4 different forms, out of which 2 are shown over here. And if you see it carefully, if you place a mirror in between them, these are mirror images of each other, just like our hands. If you put your hand in front of mirror, you can see exactly another hand in the mirror. But if you pick up this hand and try to put it over here, you know that this thumb is going to coincide with this finger, and this thumb is going to coincide with this finger. So they are non-superimposable. Even if you pick up this and try to put on this compound, you will see hydrogen will coincide with OH. So these are non-superimposable, but they are mirror images of each other. Mirror because you can see H is coming in front of H, OH is coming in front of OH. So they are mirror images of each other, but they are non-superimposable. These are the structures of thalidomide. One tragedy I told you in the last video. So thalidomide consists of this as a chiral carbon atom, and there is a differential arrangement, and it exists in the form of two isomers, S form and R form. S form is also levorotatory, R form is dextrorotatory. So enantiomers are non-superimposable mirror images of each other, and enantiomers are very much difficult to separate from each other because they contain same physical and chemical properties. They just differ in their optical properties. They rotate plane polarized light by the same degree but in opposite direction. So these are the properties of enantiomers, that they have same physical properties like boiling point, melting point, density, refractive index. They rotate plane polarized light in the same magnitude but in the opposite directions. They, because they are able to rotate it differently, they are also able to interact with chiral molecules differently. That is why out of two isomers of thalidomide, only one is active as an antiemetic, while other was a dangerous or toxic substance that affected limbs. It is because enantiomers are able to bind with enzymes differently. One might be binding perfectly tight because it's a lock and key model with the receptors. Other might not fit because of the arrangement of the groups in the three-dimensional space. Also, one might act as an agonist, another might act as an antagonist. Only one may bind, another may not bind. Such differential binding with enzymes is possible. Even our test buds and scent receptors, they are also chiral. So enantiomers react with them differently. That is why they may have different smells and the taste. Because enantiomers have similar properties, it is very difficult to separate them, and we take advantage of something called as distereomers. Distereomers have different physical properties, so they can be easily separated. So usually enantiomers are converted into distereomers and then they are easily separated. So what are they? These are also stereoisomers. They contain chiral carbon atoms. They also show optical activity, but they are not enantiomers. They are not mirror images of each other. Also, they are not superimposable. So let's see example. Here we have a compound which is containing two chiral carbon atoms. So we expect four isomers. If you look at them carefully, can you see some pairs of enantiomers? Let's look at A and D. You know, if we place a mirror in between A and D, we have two chlorine molecules atoms over here, here also, and on the opposite side we have 2 bromine. So A and T, they are enantiomers of each other. If you look at B and C, if you place a mirror over here, this side is matching, even this is matching, this is also matching. So B and C, they are also enantiomers. But you can see A and B, if you place a mirror, they are not mirror images of each other. If you try to pick up this molecule and keep it here, then Cl will match with bromine, Br will match with chlorine, so they are not superimposable. If you look at C and D, they are, if you place a mirror, this is not matching, so they are not mirror images. But if you try to overlay this with this, Cl and Br, they are not fitting, so they are non-superimposable. So you can see A and B, C and D, they are distereomers because they are isomers. They contain same molecular formula. They contain same connectivity, but in three-dimensional space, they are differing. Usually distereomers are seen in case of compounds containing more than one chiral centers, and as I told you, they are not mirror images, they are non-superimposable. They also have different physical properties like boiling point, so they can be separated by distillation. They may have different chromatographic properties, so they are easy to separate. We have something called as meso compounds. We have seen that carbon, when it is attached to 4 different groups, it becomes asymmetric. So it is not symmetric. That is why it is having optical activity. But meso compounds are such isomers which are symmetric molecules. So there is internal plane of symmetry about the stereocenters. So that is why even though they contain chiral carbon atoms, they are achiral in nature because they are having symmetry. There is no optical activity possible. Now let's see what is internal plane of symmetry. Now these two meso compounds are of tartaric acid, and we have seen a pair of enantiomers before. Look at this compound. You can see if you cut this molecule into half, or you simply place a mirror over here, can you see the upper half matching with the lower half? So these are called as meso compounds. That is, they have internal plane of symmetry which can divide the compound into two equal halves. And that is why, because these two are the chiral centers, though they will have their own rotation of plane polarized light, because they are equal and opposite halves, they will cancel out each other's optical rotation. So meso compounds are optically inactive. Though there are chiral carbon atoms present, still because of internal plane of symmetry, they become symmetric. And for optical activity, we need lack of symmetry. Now we have seen what are enantiomers. So if you take, like we have seen in the Pasteur's experiment, he separated two kinds of crystals. So that was in fact a racemic mixture. Racemic mixture means when you mix two isomers, that is two enantiomers, in equal amounts. So half of the enantiomer, either it can be dextrorotatory and remaining half can be levorotatory. So they cancel out each other's optical rotation. So racemic mixture is optically inactive. Till now we have seen meso compounds and racemic mixture, they are optically inactive though they contain chiral carbon atoms. It is because it is the equimolar mixture of two isomers. When you mix two enantiomers, plus form and minus form in equal proportion, and if you test it for optical rotation, it will be optically inactive. Condition is the mixture must contain equal amounts of the enantiomers. This is also called as racemic mixture, racemic modification, or racemate. It is a physical mixture of two enantiomers in equal proportion. So we have seen what is chiral carbon atom. I want you to find out of these 7 compounds which are possessing chiral carbon atoms, and you can write it into the comment section. Also, once you find out which compounds are containing chiral carbon atoms, your next job is how many chiral carbon atoms, as well as whether that compound will be optically active or optically inactive. You can, if you find some pairs, you can also see which are pairs of enantiomers, which are pairs of diastereomers, or if you can find any meso compound. Identify whatever you have learned and write it into the comment section. Next video, we are going to study in detail about some elements of symmetry like plane of symmetry, axis of symmetry, alternating axis of symmetry, and then after that we will be seeing some forms of nomenclature, that is DNL, RNS, ENZ. So stay tuned, stay safe. Until next time, take care. Goodbye.